Deepal, we need to talk. This video is a 3-month update of owning an E07. Now, I want to sort of paint a picture for all the prospective buyers out there and also talk about some owner experiences that they've had already after purchasing their Deepal. Both the highlights, the quirks, and to help set the expectations for potential buyers. So let's get into it. I'm going to break this down into 10 different points. The first one being the early adopters. The most important thing to understand is that the E07 and Deepal are very new to Australia. This means that as early adopters, we sort of have to put up with the teething issues and different things that we may have to wait for, being like a tow bar or roof racks or different, I'm just listing off different things that I've heard in the groups, but we do need to give some leeway to the brand to be able to find their footing in Australia. In saying that, someone has said in one of the Facebook groups already, and they put it perfectly, it sometimes feels like you've bought a mysterious Chinese EV, but you're getting treated like a premium customer. And I can 100% agree with that. The dealers are fantastic. The guys down at Glen Waverley Deepal I deal with, Serge and his team, do anything. They'll do anything to make sure that my experience, even after buying the car, is still going really well and helping me enjoy the car as much as I can. It's amazing how well they've found their footing already, but there are still some teething issues to come along with that as they're new. So I reckon give it another year or so, and Deepal will probably be up there with BYD or some of the other brands that are starting out, but better known. Number 2 is the driving experience and where the E07 actually shines. I'm going to start with the effortless acceleration. It's just phenomenal. There's no hesitation whatsoever from the car, and you put your foot down and the torque is there, especially in sport mode. It does get a bit scary because you want to go a little bit faster, but you end up going like 10 Ks over the limit because there's just so much power. I own the all-wheel drive, which the 0 to 100 is 3.96 seconds. So you can imagine the torque I get once I put my foot down. It's pretty effortless and it just glides. Like the other modes like comfort, and I've got mine set to custom 90% of the time for the urban driving. It just feels like you're driving a normal SUV, no delay whatsoever. It's amazing. Second point is the ride comfort. Absolutely excellent. As I've mentioned in previous videos, especially if you go watch the heads up display video, I say at the end that the drive quality is like driving on a cloud. It's so smooth because it has those Michelin sport tires. It really grips the road and it's phenomenal. And especially the adaptive suspension, if you have it set to your liking, glides like a cloud over the road. The third point is the suspension is well tuned, but you can also tune it to your liking as well. There's sport, comfort, and normal. So there's 3 different modes to tune the suspension to your preference. And if you play around with those modes, you'll find what's comfortable for you. And then that obviously comes in turn with the ride quality. The E07 genuinely feels like a luxury limo on the road. Compared to cars like Tesla, BYD, Hyundai, Toyota, it just feels more relaxed and thoroughly designed. Number 3 is efficiency and daily usability. Do you mind, Elsa? Do you mind? I'm recording a video. Just Elsa Maggie being very annoying. Efficiency has been a lot better than I've expected. In the real world, I get about 500 to 510 kilometers on a full charge, and I only have to charge it I'm only going to say once a week, if that. I usually charge on a full charger because there is a bit of a downside. The home charging is pretty easy to do, but it's capped at 7 kilowatts. So it's pretty slow. And because like I've said earlier, my partner has an S07, she uses a charger more than I do at home. I just duck down to an amp-hole charge in my area and I get about 130 kilowatts tops on the charge. So I can get from 20% to 50% in about 10 to 15 minutes. So number 4 is really a hot topic in the community, and that is safety systems and IACC and the honest real world use case of this. This really depends on your setup for your IACC, which is where the car will do all the driving for you and you just have to monitor it, touch the wheel every now and then. But out of the box, some owners, including myself, found the IACC a bit unsettling. It's because it doesn't sit like smack banging in the middle of the lane. And that's a bit daunting because other cars and other drivers obviously swerve too. So it should stay in the middle of the lane. So I know the S07, when I drove the S07's one, it was literally dead center, and I thought that was what the E07 was going to be. Mind you, they have been doing updates, and the latest update has sort of rectified a lot of the first issues, but yeah, it's still a little bit veery, but other than that, it's really good. Once it's configured, I actually found it better to work in traffic because I didn't want to go stop, start, stop, start, stop, start all the time. And I let the car do it. I was just literally monitoring the steering. But other than that, yeah, it accelerated, it braked, accelerated, it braked all the way into the city, and it was phenomenal. I don't really like the whole moving my foot 100 times. So yeah, the IACC did a really good job of that. And as I said, I was holding the wheel to make sure it didn't veer into another car or anything like that. Some owners in the Facebook groups have said that it struggles on country road side. And my guess to that is because the lines aren't marked out as clearly as what it is in the urban space, like where I am. So when the lines are very dim, the car does struggle to stay center or to stay in the lane because it's going off the information, obviously, of the white lines on the road. So I found in intersections, when I've got a straight green and I go through an intersection, it doesn't know where to go. But other than that, if you're driving like on a freeway, for example, or on urban roads where there's a lot of modern lights and lane, like the paint's new on the lane, then yeah, it'll stick perfectly to that. But beware of the veering, like it's not a lot. It's probably like millimeters to the sides. But yeah, just watch the heads up display and watch the SR mode if you're really concerned, and that should be fine. The fifth point is infotainment, Android Auto, and Apple CarPlay and audio. So in the latest over-the-air update, we finally got Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. But that hasn't been perfect, to say the least. Some common experiences include, and including mine as well, the wireless Android Auto disconnecting and reconnecting. So what will happen is you're listening to music, you're using Waze, and all of a sudden it'll just shut off, and then it'll come back on. I have a Samsung S23 Ultra with the latest update, and for a while there it was doing really well, but then it started happening again. I don't know if it's Waze or Google Maps or what it is, but some information for that would be great because it does get very frustrating when you're trying to see your map ahead and then the screen turns off and it turns back on, or it doesn't come back on until you get to your destination, walk out, and then return to the car. The other things are Spotify and the audio cutting out with the dropping of the Android Auto. So yeah, Spotify it'll just freeze for a few seconds and then it will come back. So it does cut out, and then the maps freeze as well. So that's something that, like I said, can obviously be fixed through a software update. So when the Android Auto drops out, it'll go to the last screen you were on or the home screen. And that's just unexpected. You're driving and you're enjoying your tunes, you're listening to your Sabrina Carpenter, and then all of a sudden it just stops and you're like, why am I looking at the 3D image of the car again? And then you don't know if it's going to come back on. So yeah, that needs to be rectified over a software update as soon as possible. And once that's done, it's pretty much perfect. Like, no word of a lie. It's just that little crash all the time between Android Auto and the infotainment screen. The other thing, which is pretty frustrating too, that I'm going to talk about briefly, is the radio. Now, the radio isn't digital, and it doesn't store the names of the stations on the screen. It just says unknown frequency. Now, I recently went to the drive-in movie theaters and I couldn't tune the E07 to the broadcast of the drive-in movie theaters. So I had to use good thing I bought a backup radio, like an old school one that you dial in the frequency, but I would have loved to have used the car because it does have a good sound system, but I couldn't do it. There is a setting to find a radio station, and I kept putting in that radio station, but it kept saying no frequency found. But yeah, the radio reception isn't that crash hot. Like, especially when I drive to the city, when I'm in the middle of Melbourne, I still get fuzzy reception for the radio I'm listening to, and that's like right, where they're being broadcasted. So there's something that needs to happen there for a more enjoyable radio experience. Number 6 is the Deepal app. It's a really good idea, but it's still maturing. Now, I've actually done a video on the Deepal app. If you want to check that out, once again, after this video, so you can see what I'm about to talk about. So it's useful, but it's still rough around the edges, unfortunately. Now, some of the user feedback of the app is that some of the phones that people own can't take the app on, they can't connect to their car, it crashes all the time, it's a little bit inconsistent. Me personally, I haven't had an issue with the app. It's been great the whole time. The only issue I've had is when I run out of data and it freezes all the information, and all I can do is unlock and lock the car, putting the tailgate down and opening the back, all that sort of stuff. But when you run out of data, like, you can't see the charging percentage, it just freezes on what was there when it ran out. The vehicle data sometimes always isn't available, and that's because you've used up your data limit, which is, like I said earlier, the percentage of the battery, like the temperature inside of the cab, all that sort of stuff. The other thing is Sentry mode. One gripe I have with the app is that you can't view the notification, like the video of what it's picked up on. And I'd love to see that, because that means that you can only watch a Sentry mode, but yeah, you can't view it on the app. And sometimes when you go to activate Sentry mode, it doesn't allow you to activate it. Like the other day, I went to a shopping center and I activated it on my app, and I came back to the car and it wasn't active. The support is often routed through the dealers, so they will take your complaint and they'll put it through to HQ. Number 7, charging and software requests, which backs off what I was just talking about. Charging itself is solid, both the AC and DC, but some owners want to have visibility and control, which is very important when you own an EV. Some common requests in the groups have been better trip planning through the native GPS or maps. So that means that when you plan your route, then you can, using the car's data inside the car, it'll know how much percentage you'll be when you get to a certain point, and then where the nearest charger is, so you don't run flat on your battery. That would be great, actually. That's not in the current native app, and that should be implemented, because when people in the groups like to go on these long trips between Melbourne and Sydney and Melbourne and Adelaide, Sydney to Queensland, all that sort of stuff. So it'll be good to have these features, because that means that you can just plan in your destination and the car will calculate the percentage between where you are, your destination, and the charging spots in between. That's actually a very good idea, Deepal. Chuck that in the next over-the-air update as well. Another big request is stronger regen. Now, compared to the S07, the E07's regen is pretty light. And being that when you have the all-wheel drive, and if you're in the sport mode and you let go of the accelerator, you really want to just feel that regen kick back in and give you that power back. But it only gives a little bit. I don't know if that's due to the weight of the car or if that's a setting, but yeah, stronger regen would be amazing. And that also will entail one pedal driving, which you can kind of do once you get your settings right now. But yeah, it could be better. I really would like to see that if it's possible. Also, custom regen across all drive modes. Right now, I've stated in other videos that you have 4 drive modes. 3 of them you cannot change or edit, and then you have your custom one, and that you can change the regen speed or whatever you like. And even if you set it to strong, it's still quite weak. So when you can change it in all the other modes, like you've got eco, sport, comfort, and custom, if you can tweak the settings in there a little bit, that would be so helpful, because then you can stay on the setting you like the best and not have to worry about going to any other setting. And then your regen can be as strong or as weak as you want. So if that could be done over an OTA, over-the-air update, that would be phenomenal. We are now on to number 8, and that is boot space and practicality. This is my biggest compromise with the E07. It is a very big car, but it has an unusable boot space of about 300 litres, which is that little trunk before you put the seats down. And the hard plastic makes it really hard to be able to maneuver bits and bobs around that little tray area. But most owners are finding ways around that at the moment, which is great. Now, in saying that, the transformation of the ute changes everything. So being able to put things like bikes, hay bales, even some people, and big boxes in the car as an SUV, and then have the ability to move the seats down is a huge advantage. And that's probably the selling point of the E07. And then at the back of the tray, you have a vehicle to load plug, which is great for camping. Number 9 is build quality and quirks. Now, the build quality of the E07 is really strong. Like, compared to other cars I've seen, people moving things and it falls off. I haven't had that issue. I haven't seen many people talk about that in the groups, which is great. So it means the build quality is all around pretty good. But there are a few things that people have mentioned that I haven't experienced personally, but they do show receipts and photos of this. And that one of those is headlight condensation. Now, I haven't had that issue because my car lives in a garage, but I'm sure if you live outside, you park your E07 outside, you would probably be getting that. The wireless charging pad stops intermittently inside the car. And also, we're not sure if the fan works inside that wireless charging. So that's a little bit of a question mark. The air compressor. So to be able to have the adaptive suspension, they put an air compressor in the back of the boot, but it's obviously under everything, so you don't see it. But like when you're, like it just randomly turns itself on to level the car out and you can hear it. Like it's pretty loud. It's like your normal air compressor sound, that buzzing. So yeah, people have reported that they're hearing that turn on in the middle of the night while the car just sits there off, trying to level itself out. So yeah, the air compressor. Maybe another over-the-air update where like when you set your settings, that's when it adjusts itself and then it can go on about its business later on. When it's parked, or maybe have a timer so it only does it like during the day when after you parked. None of these issues appear to be catastrophic or widespread. They are mostly issues that have been addressed to the other owners through the warranty program. Good work, Deepal, for that 7-year warranty on the car and 8-year warranty on the battery. Phenomenal. So even if you do end up getting the E07 and you're a bit worried about these little bits and bobs, your warranty is covered. You know, you've got it's a long time. I don't even know if I have this car in 7 years. So, you know, just having that peace of mind really helps, especially with a new brand in Australia. Number 10, the final one, is the dealer and support experience. Now, some owners are saying their support has been mixed, and that's being brutally honest. And yeah, like the dealers can only go off what they know from head office. So it goes back to my first point of being the early adapters of this car and the brand. So as they find their footing, there will be grey areas, and I 100% expect that. I have said that numerous times to my partner, and I've said that numerous times to friends, that there will be teething issues. And I'm a pretty patient bloke. Like, I love the car, no matter what happens to it, but these quality of life improvements really make the difference as an owner and obviously as a value proposition to someone who is looking at this. So the support is probably needed sooner rather than later. And shout out to all the dealers that are getting bombarded with all these questions and don't know the answers to. I can only feel for you. It must be frustrating, but you guys are doing a phenomenal job with the information you do already know, and you know everyone's pretty happy. Like, we're pretty happy. We don't have, all the dealers are going way beyond what they need to do after purchasing the vehicle. Like I said, my guys down over at Glen Waverley, Deepal, Serge and Graham have been nothing but phenomenal. So yeah, the dealers are going above and beyond for their customers to hold on to that quality of life until HQ or head office Deepal get everything in order, find their footing in Australia and get all that sorted. And in some cases that we've heard in the groups, some of the Deepal techs have rocked up to people's houses and even helped them fix their non-binding issue with their apps or different things that may be troublesome to their experience of the car. So that is it. Imagine a tech rocking up to your house. I don't know if any other EV company does that. So just saying that, The dealers are phenomenal. Deepal Tech's going above and beyond, holding the brand up within the Australian segment and holding it there so that when Deepal finally are ready to put their foot down and get all their ducks aligned, they'll be able to do that pretty smooth. And I think as a long-term goal, that's pretty good. But as owners, like I've said earlier, would like to see some of these updates implemented just for some quality of life stuff. Now, who is the E07 really for? If you want a Tesla level software polish on day one, you might get a bit frustrated. It's not that. If you want a comfortable, refined, thoroughly designed EV and you're okay with being an early adapter to everything I mentioned, all my 10 points before, then the E07 is a very compelling package. In the 3 months that I've had the E07, I don't regret it at all. In fact, when I get in the car, I want to drive it forever. It's so different, it's so unique. I honestly think if you can put up with everything I've mentioned before, which aren't bad things, but being an early adopter, then this might be the car for you. So hopefully this video has helped set a realistic expectation for everyone considering a Deepal E07 and also to other owners. If you want to put what your experiences are, please, in the comments below. You know what to do. You've been here before. Get on it, boys. So yeah, I just want to say thank you to everyone who put in their feedback to me to be able to make this video in the groups. And also, if you're considering the E07 and you want to hear firsthand, I'm free to have a chat. Come hit me up. I'm very prominent on these groups. You'll be able to see me there chatting away to everyone else. And if you've got any questions, drop them below. I'm Scott from The Current Car. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.